Whoever saves one life saves the world entire. Schindler's List wasn't just a historical drama, it was a controlled descent into moral chaos. What audiences didn't know is how close this film came to breaking its cast, its director, and the rules of Hollywood itself. Crews worked under emotional strain, casting choices reshaped careers overnight. Practical decisions carried real-world weight, and the camera captured moments that were never meant to be comfortable. This is 15 dark, strange, and rarely discussed facts about Schindler's List. Stay until the end, because the final revelation reframes everything you think you know about how this film was made. Now lean in, let's begin. Fact number 1, Spielberg films it like a documentary on purpose. This movie rejects polish. It isn't cinematic gloss, it's restraint. What audiences didn't know is that Steven Spielberg deliberately strips away the usual camera flourishes. Handheld movement replaces elegant tracking shots, natural light replaces dramatic setups, long lenses flatten space. It wasn't about beauty, it was about distance. Spielberg wants the camera to feel like a witness, not a storyteller. Dailies come back raw, sometimes uncomfortable. The crew argues over shots that feel unfinished. Spielberg insists they stay. Because the goal isn't spectacle, it's proximity. You aren't watching history reenacted. You're standing beside it, and that choice shapes every frame with quiet, devastating weight. Fact number 2, black and white is a moral choice, not a style. This film isn't black and white for nostalgia, it's ethical control. What audiences didn't know is that color is considered and rejected early on. Spielberg believes color invites comfort. Black and white denies it. Not beauty, but clarity. Without color, the eye stops searching for warmth. Blood isn't emphasized. Uniforms blend. Faces become the focus. Human reactions dominate the frame. The absence of color removes escape routes. When rare color appears, it lands with force because the film has trained you to notice meaning, not decoration. It isn't old-fashioned, it's surgical. And that discipline makes the film harder to watch but impossible to forget. Fact number 3, the girl in the red coat was never a symbol explained. The red coat isn't explained, that's intentional. What audiences didn't know is that Spielberg refuses to clarify its meaning even privately. He wants it to remain unresolved. Not a metaphor spelled out, but an interruption. The coat appears briefly, then vanishes. No music cue, no emphasis, just presence. For the viewer, it's a shock of recognition in a world drained of color. For the story, it marks a turning point without announcement. It isn't innocence highlighted, it's attention awakened. And once you notice it, you can't stop noticing everything else you've been ignoring. That discomfort is the point. Fact number 4, the set locations were emotionally restricted. Filming locations are tightly controlled. What audiences didn't know is that certain areas require silence rules. No jokes, no casual conversation. Not atmosphere building, but protection. Crew members describe walking onto set already heavy. Call sheets are quiet. Lunch breaks feel muted. Spielberg sets the tone early. This isn't a normal shoot. Even experienced professionals struggle with the emotional load. Some step away, others push through. The environment becomes part of the performance, and that weight seeps into every pause, every look, every breath on screen. Fact number 5, casting Oskar Schindler was a risky gamble. Liam Neeson isn't the first choice, or the second. What audiences didn't know is that studios want a safer name, someone established, someone reassuring. Spielberg refuses. He wants a face audiences don't fully trust yet. A man who can shift, charm without certainty. Neeson brings restraint. He plays Schindler not as a hero, but as a man discovering limits in real time. It isn't transformation through speeches, it's accumulation through action. That risk pays off, and it permanently alters how leading roles are cast afterward. Fact number 6, Ralph Fiennes is asked to be controlled, not loud. Ralph Fiennes is instructed to remove flourish. What audiences didn't know is that Spielberg repeatedly tells him to pull back. Less emotion, less explanation. Not menace through volume, but through unpredictability. Fiennes listens, he tightens, he minimizes. He lets silence do the damage. The result is unsettling because it feels casual, ordinary, and that's what makes it terrifying. The character doesn't announce danger, he arrives with it. That choice redefines cinematic villainy for decades to come. Fact number 7, many extras have direct family connections. This isn't abstract history for everyone on set. What audiences didn't know is that some extras carry personal family histories connected to the events portrayed. Spielberg is aware, he never highlights it publicly. But the gravity is felt. Performances gain weight without instruction. No one needs to be told what's at stake. The film becomes a convergence of memory and representation, and that shared understanding deepens the realism in ways no rehearsal ever could. On fact number 8, Spielberg refuses emotional music cues. There's restraint in the score, deliberate restraint. What audiences didn't know is that Spielberg limits when music can speak. Not emotional guidance, but emotional space. Silence often replaces swelling orchestration. Ambient sound carries scenes forward. When music does appear, it arrives earned. And because of that, it hits harder. Go ahead and like and subscribe right here because what comes next explains how restraint becomes the film's most powerful weapon. Fact number 9. The film is shot faster than Spielberg's blockbusters. This production moves quickly. What audiences didn't know is that Spielberg keeps shooting days lean, minimal coverage, limited takes, not efficiency for budget but for emotion. He wants reactions fresh, fatigue real. Long delays risk softening impact, so scenes are captured before comfort settles in. That urgency translates to the screen. You feel events unfolding rather than being arranged. Fact number 10. Spielberg refuses an opening logo. No studio fanfare, no triumphant introduction. What audiences didn't know is that Spielberg insists the film begin quietly. Not celebration, but entry. The absence of logos removes distance. You aren't prepared, you aren't eased in. You're already inside the story before realizing it's begun. That choice sets the tone for everything that follows. Fact number 11. Editing avoids narrative relief. The cut avoids release. What audiences didn't know is how many moments of relief are removed in editing. Not because they aren't real, but because they dilute impact. Spielberg wants the audience to stay alert, unsettled. Scenes end earlier than expected. Reactions are truncated. The rhythm never allows full comfort, and that tension accumulates quietly, relentlessly. Fact 12. The film alters how Holocaust stories are told. This movie resets expectations. What audiences didn't know is how many later films adopt its restraint model. Less explanation, less exposition, more observation. It becomes a template for respectful depiction. Not sensationalism, but responsibility. And that influence extends beyond cinema into education and remembrance. Fact number 13. Spielberg delays watching the final cut. He doesn't rush to view it. What audiences didn't know is that Steven Spielberg steps away from the finished film before sitting down with it fully. This isn't hesitation, it's discipline. He understands the emotional weight embedded in every frame and knows immediate viewing could cloud judgment. Distance creates clarity. By separating himself from the process, he protects the film from sentimentality. He wants to see it as an audience would without memory of the shoot, without personal attachment to the struggle. It isn't self-protection, it's respect. The pause allows the work to stand on its own, and that restraint ensures the film speaks with honesty, not authorship. Fact number 14. Survivors are involved quietly. Input comes without fanfare. What audiences didn't know is that survivor perspectives quietly shape decisions throughout production. There are no press announcements, no promotional acknowledgments. Accuracy isn't negotiated in public, it's honored in private. Spielberg listens more than he explains. Adjustments happen subtly. Details are corrected without spectacle. This approach keeps the focus where it belongs, on responsibility, not recognition. The film doesn't announce its authenticity, it earns it. By refusing to turn consultation into marketing, the production maintains dignity. That humility carries into the final cut. You feel it in the restraint, in what the film chooses not to underline, and in the trust it places in silence. For Act 15, the ending is designed to face the present. The final moments don't stay in the past. What audiences didn't know is that this shift is not comfort, it's confrontation. The transition from historical portrayal to the present collapses distance deliberately. It refuses to let the story remain contained. History doesn't fade out, it arrives now. Spielberg wants the audience to feel that continuity, that what happened didn't conclude neatly, it echoes forward. The ending doesn't explain what to feel, it places responsibility directly in the viewer's hands. You're no longer observing, you're included. The film closes not with resolution, but with connection, and that final choice ensures the story doesn't end when the screen goes dark. Schindler's List doesn't shout its importance, it earns it. Through restraint, through risk, through discipline, what you see is powerful, what you don't see is devastating. This film isn't remembered because it explains history, but because it refuses to let you look away. If this revealed something new, share it. Subscribe for more hidden truths. Because some stories aren't finished telling you what they mean.